Good morning. Happy Halloween. Welcome to Denton Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. My name is Allison High, and I am a member of the Board of Trustees. My pronouns are she, her, and we are so grateful that you're here today, online and in person. For those of you online, please see the comments throughout the service for more information. For those of us in the sanctuary, please to remember stay 6 feet from each other's. You can help our tech team by turning the Wi-Fi off on your phone. We will keep our masks on and have no touching or singing, but we do have shakers and other noisemakers. You are invited to stand and dance, sway, make some noise during the hymns, just don't sing. Our Explorers classes for children in pre-K through 5th grade are meeting outdoors each Sunday at 9:30. Adults are invited to register to attend worship services while their children are in class. Newcomers, we're glad you're here. Please complete a visitor information card online or in the seat pocket in front of you. On Saturday, November 13th, there will be a sale benefiting DUUF at the Jacobson's old office on Scripture Street. We are wanting large items only that you have to haul, so contact Sharon Barnhill for more information. DUUF will be hosting our first alternative gifts market December 4th from 10 to 3. Please share this event around town. We want this to be a successful fundraiser. See Allison High or Helen Sanderson in Pups for flyers. Reverend AJ will lead a class in UU History and Faith Development on Sunday evenings from 7 to 9 in November. Classes will be held on Zoom. Each week is a standalone seminar, and there is no requirement to attend all 4 evenings, but pre-registration is required for each session by emailing minister@dentonuuf.org. You can learn more about events, registering children for classes, and attending worship in person in our newsletter, on our social media, and on our link tree. Now I'd like to bring up Tessa Morin and Judy Smith for an update on our stewardship drive.
This month is our Pledge Drive campaign, but another way we raise money is by sponsoring fundraising events. This last spring, DUUF sponsored an online auction that included offers to provide different kinds of services. My name is Judy Smith, and I'm a professional seamstress, so I offered 6 beginning sewing lessons. My thought was to teach the basic tricks of running a sewing machine and to make a simple garment. When I heard Tessa Morin was the top bidder for my sewing lessons, I knew I was in trouble. Not only is Tessa a professional artist and photographer, I knew she was also an excellent stitcher. In fact, she created our Christmas altar cloths you'll be seeing in a few weeks. I didn't know what to do, how to teach her something, anything. For a couple of years, I've been making a swing coat I designed, and I make them out of all different kinds of textiles. A swing coat was popular in the 50s and is usually rather fitted at the top, but flares out at the bottom. And it fits everyone. So to challenge Tessa, I taught her to cut out and sew together a swing coat using white curtains bought at a thrift shop. Then to take advantage of her talents, I had her take this blank canvas back to her studio and do one of her paintings on it. I'll have Tessa tell you what happened next.
When Judy suggested this project, I wanted to treat the coat like a wearable canvas. My art deals with borders and boundaries, whether emotional or actual physical boundaries. and I use crows to help convey some of the emotions involved with them. So this is the result of the coat that Judy and I made together. And I like that it could possibly go in the gallery next to my work. It just kind of fits. So when we did this project, it was so much fun that we decided we should also make a coat for Judy. So she repurposed a white quilt for hers, and then I painted it. I'm really grateful to Judy for offering this opportunity through the silent auction. It helped me creatively to get out of my head and do something new, but the best part was getting to know Judy better. I love that here at DUUF we have the opportunity to build new connections with different people all the time. It's really a joy. And as a member of the stewardship and contract minister search teams, I would like to invite all of you to complete your pledge forms for this year. Keeping this community going gives us these opportunities to build these fun projects together and support this church and invite more people in to take advantage of all the services that we offer. So one of the perks, if you're a first-time pledger or increase your pledge, you could be entered into a drawing for an I Heart DUUF mug. Yeah. And everyone who pledges gets to attend our DUUFiversary party, which is coming up on Saturday and will be held outside. So that'll be a lot of fun. If you have any questions, I invite you to come talk to me after the service or send us an email, and we'll be happy to help you out. Thank you. And now let us prepare our hearts and minds for worship.
Hi, we are Tyler and Katie Dawson. My pronouns are they and them. Katie's are she and her. As we light the chalice and fully embrace the sacred space created here this morning, please hold in your hearts the Unitarian Universalist principle which calls upon us to respect the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. Today we remember those who share this earth with us no longer. We bear witness to their lives and the roles they have played in our hearts. We pay homage to and make stronger the web which connects us all. And although we are not singing at this time, please rise in body or spirit and move to our opening hymn, For All the Saints.
Our call to worship this morning comes from Albert Huffstickler. We think we get over things. We don't get over things. Or say, we get over the measles, but not a broken heart. We need to make that distinction. The things that become a part of our experience never become less a part of our experience. How can I say it? The way to get over a life is to die. Short of that, you move with it. Let the pain be the pain, not in the hope that it will vanish, but in the faith that it will fit in. And then not less any pain, but true to form. Because anything natural has an inherent shape and will flow towards it. And life is as natural as a leaf. That's what we're looking for. Not the end of a thing, but the shape of it. Come, let us worship.
Today I offer a book that brings me a lot of comfort. Always Remember by C.C. Ming, with illustrations by Jago. In the end, on his very last day, Old Turtle swam his last swim and took his last breath. With his life complete, the gentle waves took him away. By dawn, everyone who knew Old Turtle knew he was gone. The turtles playing in the reef remembered how he taught them to swim. Old Turtle had been a good teacher. And the turtles would always remember. The broad-backed, humpback whale remembered how Old Turtle swam alongside of her and kept her company when she became separated from her pod. Old Turtle had been a good friend, and the whale would always remember. The sea otters remembered how Old Turtle would dive and play with them and make them laugh. Old Turtle had loved to have fun, and the otters would always remember. The dolphins remembered how Old Turtle was curious about the unknown and bravely swam far out to sea. Old Turtle explored the darkest of the waters and discovered glittery jewels to show his friends. And the dolphins would always remember. Once a terrible storm tossed and turned the ocean for 3 long days and nights. A starfish was torn from her rock and swept away. When the waves became calm again, Old Turtle looked for her and found her and carried her home. And the starfish would always remember. When Old Turtle found a manatee tangled in a fishing net, he snipped and pulled and would not stop until the manatee was free. The manatee told the story to his children, and they told the story to their children. Old Turtle would never be forgotten. Once upon a time, there was an old turtle. He was a wonderful teacher and friend. He loved to laugh and have fun. He explored the unknown and discovered great things. He showed kindness and strength, and he made his world a better place. When he was done, the ocean took him back, but what he left was only the beginning.
Will you join me now in a time of prayer and meditation? And our prayer today comes from Reverend Alicia Ford. You are mosaic makers, practitioners of justice, called to respond to the brokenness in the world, restoring beauty by joining in solidarity with the least of these, the poor, the undocumented, the wrongly persecuted because of sex or gender identity or race. You, mosaic makers, practitioners of justice, will minister to each other, for this ministry needs your energy, your passion, your hands in order to thrive. It needs your wildly beating heart to animate its spirit. Being mosaic makers isn't easy, the pieces can be so tiny. It's difficult to see the whole picture. You always risk making a mistake and needing to undo. You will have moments of dis-ease, of needing to apologize, make amends, restore your covenant. You will have moments of fatigue. Share leadership. Invite others to share this vision and co-create with you. You, mosaic makers, practitioners of justice, your work is an act of gratitude for those who came before and for that which is yet to be. How blessed you are. How blessed we are to be in this together. And one of the mosaics that the founders of DUUF have passed on to this generation is the memorial wall, built in gratitude for those who came before and for that which is yet to be. The Pastoral Care Team, and especially Judy Smith, has lovingly tended to the wall. And today we dedicate 3 new names to this ongoing mosaic. Dolores Neighbors, Steve Kester, and Evelyn Miller. As we pause to gather our feelings and reflections and to meditate upon the meaning of this occasion, we offer a prayer, and we remember each in our own private chamber of thoughts, those who we have brought with us to this service. May it be so, and amen.
We remember Evelyn Tarver Miller, a true Texas girl who lived in Denton several times during her lifetime. She graduated from Denton High School, attended North Texas State College, and Midwestern University in Wichita Falls. She struck up a pen pal relationship with a Navy shipmate of her brother's during the Korean War and married Jack Miller after a brief courtship. They lived in San Diego, California, Denton, Texas, Niagara Falls, New York, Mount Prospect, Illinois, Dallas, Pennsylvania, and their marriage lasted for 68 years. Evelyn and Jack have 4 children, and Evelyn was a wonderful wife and mother who was always civic-minded. She began a summer program for children in Mount Prospect, Illinois, that was the beginning of what is today the multi-million-dollar River Trails Park District. Evelyn worked for the Career Planning and Placement Center at the University of North Texas and received her degree in counseling in 1978. She went to work for the Denton County Probation Office and was the founding Community Service Restitution Coordinator for Denton County. She retired in 1996 and served as the First Lady of Denton from 1996 to 2000 when her husband Jack was elected mayor. She was a member of the Denton Aerial Club, DUUF, and several bridge groups and book clubs. She has 9 grandchildren, and she was an active Grammy and a big part of their lives. Evelyn passed of complications from Parkinson's disease in Highland Springs in Dallas on September 6, 2021. We remember Evelyn for her quick wit, mischievous joy of life, caring heart, and faithful friendship. I got through it. We remember Dolores Neighbors. Dolores was a leader of the DUUF and of CUPS, the Covenant of UU Pagans. Dolores combined administrative leadership, serving as DUUF president and spiritual leadership, and serving as a mentor to many of the DUUF and CUPS communities. She was known to read tarot cards at parties and events and always had a friendly word for those new to paganism. We remember Steve Kester. Steve was born into a Quaker family and raised in Newtown, Pennsylvania. He served in the U.S. Army Chemical Corps, finding ways to quickly identify pathogens. Following his Army service, he earned his PhD in microbiology from the University of Texas. He later joined the faculty at UNT. Steve was a partner with Marion in the raising of their children, Sue and Bill. Steve supported Marion as she continued her schooling after their children were born, which was not too common a practice in the 1960s. Steve loved to play golf and to cook, and his recipes are still used by his grandchildren today. Steve died of COVID-19 before a vaccine was available. Earlier this year, family, friends, neighbors, and former students gathered here at DUUF to reflect on Steve's life. And we shared in a moment of meditation, which was deeply important to Steve as part of his Quaker faith. And now we would like to share some additional memories from our members and friends.
Hello, I'm Reverend AJ, and today I'm lifting up the memory of my dear friend and mentor, Reverend John Marsh. John was my internship supervisor in Ottawa, Ontario, and he had a stroke, and he recovered enough to give the blessing at my ordination service.
A.J. Galazen, what have you done? You have gathered us into one congregation for one time, for one purpose, and that is to ordain you into the Unitarian Universalist ministry.
I loved him dearly, and I'll always remember him. Thank you, John.
Hi, this is Susan Sluter, and this is my husband Barry Sluter and I on our very first date. He was 13, I was 12. I knew him for 56 years, and I was married to him for almost 47, and I still miss him.
I'm remembering Don Jordan, my husband who died about 15 years ago. He loved poetry, music, art, and this fellowship.
My name is Julia Kitchen, and I lost my dear friend, Eve Glenn, in February of this year. Eve was only 20 years old when she took her own life. She was one of the kindest, bravest, sweetest, and most loving people that I will ever know. And I hope to take this time to uplift her memory and the memories of all of the trans people whom we have lost this year. Thank you.
My name is Ruth Galbraith, and this is in memory of my brother Henry, the third of 6 siblings, who died October 5th. He was a retired physician, a father of 7 children across 2 marriages, a lover of all things beautiful, a highly creative man, especially with wood, building lovely guitars for himself and grandchildren. For the joy of human love, brother, sister, parent, child, for the holiness of every place where light is found, and for the sanctities of birth and death, for these ennobling graces of life, we offer praise.
This is Marissa Abbey, and today I would like to remember my mother, Ann Abbey. She was an advocate, a mentor to all of those around her, and she was my best friend, and I miss her very much. Love you, Mom.
I'm Cynthia Talbot.
I'm John Beckett. Longtime DUUF and CUPS member Dolores Neighbors died earlier this year.
Dolores served CUPS as education officer. She taught classes and led rituals. She served DUUF in the women's group, on the worship committee, and as fellowship president from 2008 to 2009.
Dolores was our elder, our teacher, and our friend, and we remember her.
May joy and peace surround you. Contentment forever latch your door, and happiness be upon you now and forever. Eternal rest grant our friend Dolores, O Lord, and the blessings of St. Bridget be upon her.
Hello, my name's Jared. Jeremiah's out back playing, but this is my wife, Marissa. And I've only been a member of the church for a couple of years. I remember when my family and I first joined, how it felt to have a community of like-minded people behind us. We've gone through a lot of ups and downs since my family became a part of the church. We've had different ministers, COVID, all kinds of stuff. Online church, and then trying to come back to church. It's been quite a roller coaster. The reason I really love this place is because everyone has been here through all of that. We still get to voice our joys and our concerns, and generally take care of each other. It's like a family for me. Folks I can be with and not worry about being judged. So like Joe Biden says, we're going to build back better. We have a chance to make this church whatever we want it to be. We should take advantage of this opportunity and move forward with gusto. Yay, DUUF!
Thank you so much, Jared. I love how hearing people connect with DUUF and seeing how this creative and inspiring community can change and grow, and as Jared says, be whatever we want it to be. Your gifts, whether part of a pledge or an impromptu donation, do so much to build this community. See the chat, the link tree, or the order of service for ways to give to DUUF and to view the 2022 pledge form so that you too can be part of this community. The offering is now gratefully received.
From the poet Mary Oliver. As deep as I ever went into the forest, I came upon an old stone bench, very, very old, and around it a clearing, and beyond that, trees taller and older than I had ever seen. Such silence. It really wasn't so far from a town, but it seemed all the clocks had stopped counting. So it was hard to suppose the usual rules applied. Sometimes there's only a hint, a possibility. What's magical sometimes has deeper roots than reason. I hope everyone knows that. I sat on the bench, waiting for something. An angel, perhaps, or dancers with the legs of goats. No, I didn't see either, but only, I think, because I didn't stay long enough. Our theme for October is cultivating relationships. And we close the month by returning to the Feast of All Souls, when the thin veil between this world and the next is lifted for a brief moment of remembrance. And I am filled with gratitude today that Reverend Gina Purcell, an ordained MCC minister, hospital chaplain, and longtime member of DUUF, was able to work with me in planning our service today. And we will remain after the service for anyone that would like to share a moment of silence or spoken recollection in a small group. Thanks to everyone that brought an item for our common altar today, and for those of you at home who have gathered at your own personal altars. The Protestant Reformation was a time of fiery and sometimes violent arguments between Catholics, Lutherans, and Calvinists. Contemporary Unitarians claim Michael Servetus as an early witness to the theology of the unity of God, with the publication of his book, On the Errors of the Trinity, in 1531. His book angered both the Catholic Holy Inquisition and John Calvin's Reform community in Geneva. And after evading capture, he was finally found by Calvin, tried, convicted, and burned at the stake as a heretic on October 27th, 1553. More than 5 centuries later, there is a small memorial near where Servetus was martyred. And it was built by the spiritual heirs of John Calvin, the Reformed churches and the Presbyterians. And it serves as a confession and an apology for this tragedy, a monument to the freedom of conscience in religious matters. It's never too late to say, I'm sorry for your loss. Like Mary Oliver, I love waiting for angels. I love wandering around cemeteries. And wherever I travel, I make sure to visit an old graveyard, to spend a few moments on a stone bench, waiting for a spirit or a story to appear. And Denton has not disappointed me. While walking around the IOOF cemetery in your fair city, I was drawn to a 20-foot-high angel of mercy looking down upon a plain tombstone. Intrigued at who should have such an elaborate monument, I discovered it was a young mother who died in childbirth. Her infant daughter buried next to her. And I expected to find the bereaved father somewhere close, without any luck. There is no doubt much more to this story. I do not believe that relationships end at the time of death. As survivors, we have the power to wait on that stone bench. We have the power to return to our past lives. And on this special day, the Feast of All Souls, we have the power to bring the dead back into our hearts and savor their memories. But remembrances cannot be forced. The dearly departed march to their own time. Today, let us listen for them. May it be so, and amen.
Good morning, church. Good morning. I have to start off and just say that I talked to Tessa a couple of days ago and said that I was a little nervous because I haven't been in a pulpit in a long time. As a hospital chaplain, I was working weekends, and so I was with you all in spirit, but I wasn't able to be in person. And so then they changed my schedule. And I was going to have weekends free, and I got to come one weekend, and then COVID hit, and everything shut down. So this is the first time I've gotten to share with you in person in so long, and I was a little nervous, but I walked in the door, and I felt like I was home. So thank you. I'm so glad to be here with you this morning. And I was so honored when Reverend AJ offered to share the reflection time with me this morning. That I'm so pleased and I'm so grateful to be able to spend this time, this sacred service with you. As a hospital chaplain, creating space for memories is an important part of my job. On a daily basis, I'm invited into people's lives through the sharing of memories, the stories that illustrate what is deep and meaningful for them. Our memories make up who we are. They inform how we move through the world, why we act the way we act, why we make certain decisions, why we love the way that we love. Our memories help us to learn who we are and often guide us back to our core self. In the past 18 months, I have held space for more memories than I could have ever imagined. Most of the time, given the nature of my job in the midst of a pandemic, those memories were shared by people who were facing death. Sometimes it was the death of a loved one. Sometimes it was a person facing their own mortality and the uncertainty of their recovery from a virus that was aggressively assaulting their body. Many times I listened to the memories about patients from nurses and doctors who cared for them, respiratory therapists, patient techs, even workers in the kitchen and that were delivering meals, and the custodians that were cleaning and sanitizing their rooms. The sharing of every story, every memory had a common theme to it that wove them together. They were all initiated out of someone's grief. As we talk about the building of memories around this time of year, when summer has turned to autumn and autumn is fading into winter, a little more slowly in Texas than general, but many of us are observing the thinning of the veil between the worlds. And we must take time to acknowledge our relationship to grief. Now, I'm going to be the first person to tell you, nobody likes talking about grief. It is not the topic of every conversation, and yet every single person has to experience it. So my question that I pose to you today, what is your relationship to grief? How do you encounter it? What do you do with it when you've got to deal with it? It is true that people will try everything to avoid their grief. I have this vision, especially today with it being Halloween, of people running from grief like a monster. They're running furiously and it's coming after them, and then they turn a corner and they smack right into it. And sometimes that's how it feels. It's right there. So if we can't avoid it, how do we engage it? Our memories, our stories, engage in an intricate dance with grief. And we could learn a great deal from this dance. When we initially encounter grief, it often comes on suddenly, turning our world upside down. It can feel as if we are being pulled apart. Probably the most common phrase that I hear in the emergency room is, "My world is shattered." Part of our task then is to take what has been shattered, what has been dismembered, and to remember it. We remember the meaningful things about our loved one. We remember the important things that they shared with us, the important things that they taught us. We remember our feelings about the departed. Remembering at this stage helps ground us as we begin this new journey with grief, and every time it is a new journey with grief. Learning to move with our new dance partner can be awkward and painful, but with the passage of time, it is our memories that help us find balance so that we fall into a natural rhythm. So as we emerge from the initial chaos of our grieving, our memories are waiting to provide a soothing balm, a healing as we continue in this dance. I have to say I'm in total agreement with AJ about cemeteries. I love them. I love the peacefulness and the sacredness that they create. I love the way that they provide space for us to sit with our grief and to help us reconnect and remember our relationships with those who have died. Relationships do not end at death. Rather, they are transformed into something that we hold in the deepest places of our heart. For me, cemeteries allow me a place to reflect on how I want to be remembered one day. It's a place where I can cut away the shroud of chaos that surrounds me from my everyday life and draw out the things that I hold meaningful. I remember my father, and I hope to embody his strong faith and his kindness. I remember my grandfather, and I hope to be generous as he was with his time and his resources. And I remember my grandmother, and I hope to be strong in spirit and a survivor who takes care of everyone around me. My memories of them inform who I strive to be. One other important function of our remembering, and then I'm going to wrap this up, is to remind us of our significance in this world. Remembering and being remembered is a statement that we are part of something larger than ourselves. We remember those who are part of our community. We remember them, and when we remember them, we say collectively, your presence among us made an impact. And your absence from us also makes a significant impact. But in their absence, they are still significant and part of who we are. I have a poem that I want to share with you. And I use this poem as a reflection to remind myself and to remind all of us of our unique ability to hold both joy and sorrow in the same moment. The poem's titled Sometimes, and it's written by M. Updike. Hear these words. Sometimes memories are like rain showers, sprinkling down upon you, catching you unaware, and then they are done, leaving you feeling warm and refreshed. Sometimes memories are like thunderstorms, beating down upon you, relentless in their downpour, and then they will cease, leaving you tired and bruised. Sometimes memories are like shadows, sneaking up behind you, following you around, and then they disappear, leaving you sad and confused. But sometimes memories are like quilts, surrounding you with warmth, luxuriously abundant, and sometimes they stay, wrapping you in contentment. At this time, I invite you to rise as you are able, and hear in the singing of hymn number 323, Break Not the Circle. My friends, take time this week to remember. Remember those who are significant to your journey. Remember those who have crossed over the veil of life but left an imprint in your heart. Remember that you are loved and valued in this world. And remember that you have not just been to church, you are the church. And if the world is to know anything of love and justice and compassion, it belongs and begins with you. Join with me now as we extinguish our chalice flame. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
you.